The other thing that hurt us too was the Africans who came in, during the period of the elections. Now, Antigua and Barbuda has been at the forefront of the discussions of increasing trade between Africa and the Caribbean and to allow for more people-to-people exchanges. In fact, as the chairman of CARICOM, when we signed a memorandum of understanding to that effect with former President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya. And 3 years ago, before COVID, we arranged for the first transatlantic flight from Nigeria into Antigua with Earpiece. The gentleman for Earpiece is actually an Antiguan citizen through CIP. And unfortunately, we couldn't accommodate the flight after they made the arrangements because the air services agreement between Antigua Barbuda and Nigeria is not completed. So the flight went to Jamaica instead. Subsequently, the head of our Chamber of Commerce in Nigeria, a gentleman by the name of Emmanuel Sampson, he got a request from this guy, Marvelous Mike, who says that he can help to set up a private airline, Antigua Airways, which our government supported. And we listed it as a CIP investment. And on the basis of a CIP investment, we were able to negotiate some shares in it, just in case it turned out to be a profitable entity that we would have had a return. But it's not that we put in any cash into it. There's no cash expended. Then came the first flight in November 1st of last year. Successful flight. 200-something people, about a dozen of them went to other countries within the region, and the majority of them went back. I'm told, though, that there was this opportunistic migration that took place involving a charter airline by the name of HiFly. Now, no one knew about this. And they came in under the name Antigua Airways, but it was not Antigua Airways. The first flight apparently occurred 2 a.m. sometime close to Christmas, and or just after Christmas. In fact, my understanding is that immigration officers were surprised that the flight came in at 2 a.m. But what seemed to have happened, and this one could have been organized by HiFly. They recognized that there's a gateway into the Caribbean through Antigua. And they got on to officials here, arranged for the flights. And they said it was an Antigua Airways flight. They came in, customs and immigration, they assumed regularity. There was no basis to assume otherwise. They processed them. And that is when we started to see people turning up in the communities, not having any proper reservations. They got the visas and so on on arrival. So the assumption by those involved was that everything was in order, and that it was an Antigua Airways flight. Then there was a subsequent one, and it is primarily those two flights. That resulted in probably over 500 of the almost 5-something, maybe close to 6 of the Africans. And from all indication, the majority of them didn't come here on a vacation. They were trying to migrate as economic citizens, not necessarily to Antigua. I'm told too that a number of them want to get to Suriname, to Mexico, with the hope that they can get into the United States. So the idea was to transit here. Now, I'm told too that Suriname would have accepted at least one charter, and after everybody in the region recognized what was happening, they locked down their borders. Even Impacts would have sent out a notice to the effect that a few of them had ended up on the U.S. southern border trying to get in. I'm told too by regional prime minister that they contacted him as well. The same HiFly Airways, and they told officials there that they wanted to bring in a charter of tourists from Africa. But because the situation had already burst here in Antigua and Barbuda, and they recognized what was happening, they declined it. But under normal circumstances, they could have accepted it. So I really think that this is a lesson for all of us. I mean, every country within the Caribbean has the aspiration of having direct flights between the country and Africa, and to facilitate the movement of Africans into the Caribbean, and even Caribbeaners going to Africa to vacation. So this has been a long-standing aspiration, and I don't think we should give it up. But based on the experience that we have had, I mean, we have said to our Caribbean colleagues that they need to pursue this with caution. The reality is, anytime at all there's a gateway, you're going to have individuals, let's say opportunistic economic migrants, who would seek to come to the region ostensibly as tourists. Now, even if you ask for a visa to get a ticket, I understand that they paid up to what, $3,000-4,000 for a ticket. And one would expect that a person who can afford that kind of money is a person of means. And these people also have skills, yeah? I mean, many of them are teachers and so on, engineers,
tailors, and so on.
But they're trying to get out of Cameroon because of the instability there in Cameroon. So, look, they're here now, and there's no evidence to date. Again, we have to do a proper assessment. And let me make the point here, too, that we have gotten on to IOM, that's the International Organization on Migration, as well as the UNHCR, the United Nations Commission on Refugees, to assist us to do an assessment of these Africans to determine their needs. Now, we have to understand, we have international obligations. I see the UPB initially was saying that, we need to get them out of the country, we need to deport them.
This is Antigua Breaking News.